I have a new camera and I'm not afraid of using it. I drove down to Wales because I wanted to do some minimalist coastal photography. I visited this coastline many times previously and I took some really nice photos like these, but I never really focused on minimalist compositions. Although there are some compositions which are quite close to it, but they were never made with intentions. So I hope that today I'm going to be able to take some minimalist long exposures, seascapes, maybe some patterns, rocks on the shorelines. These things are on my mind, but to be honest, I don't really know what to expect because I never looked at this coastline with minimalism on my mind. I also want to simplify my kit I'm taking with me, so I have only the tripod and a sling bag with me today, which makes my life easier to walk along the beach. And yes, I have a different camera with me today. I bought an OM system, OM1 Mark I camera with a 12-100 f4 Pro IS lens attached to it. I'd like to try this combo because I've been using full frame cameras for more than 10 years now, and apparently you can find this camera used by several landscape photographers on YouTube, and they all claim to be an excellent setup. Minimalism is not really about the gear and technology. It's about simplifying composition, getting rid of the distractions, and let the subject shine in its glory. That is why I like to try a camera like the OM1 with a smaller sensor size, because theoretically it can also do the job for me. But would a smaller sensor be enough for me who has been using full-frame sensor cameras for more than 10 years? Hopefully I can figure it out today. So the OM1 has a 20 megapixel micro four thirds size sensor. The size of this sensor is roughly 1/4 of the size of a full-frame sensor. What I like to figure out today, how this small sensor can handle the long exposure I'm usually taking during minimalist photography. This means I'm going to test it for 2 and 4 minute long exposures, and I'm also curious if the 20 megapixel is enough for me. At the moment I'm taking a long exposure of a couple of these big rocks which are bothered by the waves. It's going to be about a 2.5 minute long exposure, and I like to check the clarity of the image the details, and what this small sensor is capable of. I found another interesting composition next to this rock face, and I'm just about to finish the photo. It's about 2.5 minutes now, and I'm using the lifetime feature on the OM1 to be able to tell when to stop the expo. I think it's looking quite good now, so I'm gonna stop it on my remote app. And now the only thing is to wait to do the dark frame, and if it turns out to be any good, then here is the photo. At the moment the tide is going out, so I still have about 3 hours left until low tide. I'm going to walk back slowly to the beach, and while I'm doing that I try to observe and find compositions, and maybe when the tide is coming in I can shoot them. I'm walking along the beach now on the other side of the car park. I grabbed some bites and I still have about an hour until low tide, so I thought I would give this side a go, a chance. And I have these nice standalone rocks surrounded by little pools which look amazing, but I don't know if a long exposure would help to eliminate the destruction of the sky. The sky is very, very bright at the moment, and I don't really use graduated filter, although I could do bracketed exposure, but I'm not sure a 2 or 4 minutes bracketed exposure would work. I don't know, so I'm gonna carry on walking along the beach and see if I can find something interesting to shoot. Looks like I finally found one which is nice and separated, sitting alone here on the beach. And let me show you the other side. So here there is a kind of a rocky outcrop here which I can climb onto, and I can shoot this little puddle with the rocks in it from an elevated viewpoint, which helps me probably to cut out a little bit of that bright sky. Alright, let's set up the tripod and give this one a go. Right, let's get up to this rock. Okay, here we are. So here it is from an elevated viewpoint. The sky is still a little bit bright, but fingers crossed the clouds gonna move in and cover a little bit of that light. I arrived here at this larger sandy area, and there are quite many interesting rock formation boulders scattered here. And a good thing, almost all of them here are solitary ones, So good for a composition, for minimalist composition. I don't know which one I'm going to go for, and first I need to walk around this area a little bit to evaluate which one would be the best to shoot. There is no elevated viewpoint here where I can climb onto and shoot this formation from. So I don't know, but let's see what we have here. Maybe I'm gonna climb onto one of the rocks and then shoot the other rocks from that rock. And another problem is that the sun just came out, and that doesn't help with my composition. Fingers crossed, I'm gonna find one. Oh, I like this one, but unfortunately it's a little bit too close to the other one. But this one has a kind of a small border next to that big rock, which I really like. All right, I made a decision. I'm going to go with this one here. The reason is that it has a cluster of these mussels on top of it, which is kind of a dark grayish, blackish tone. And that stands out really nicely from the surrounding. I don't know how long of an exposure I need here, but the water in the puddle is not really moving, but obviously I like to smoothen it out as much as possible. So I assume it requires not longer than a minute. I decided I'm going to give a chance to this puddle here. It's quite calm. I really like the two little boulders in there, and it can be separated quite easily from the surroundings. So if I zoom in a little bit, then in a square format you cannot see anything else, only the two boulders with the puddle and a little bit of that stream going over there. I'm not sure I'm gonna keep it in the final composition. Maybe I'm gonna crop it out, but at the moment I really have a good feeling about this. While the dark frame is taken, I'd like to talk a little bit about the OM1 camera itself and what I like about it, what I don't really like about it. So first of all, the positives, it's really well designed ergonomically. It fits into my hand. All the dials and buttons feel quality. The new menu system is really good. So the best feature for long exposure is the lifetime and live bulb feature, where you can see the image developing. So you can preset a time, couple of seconds, and every couple of seconds you can have a look at the image developing. So you know exactly where you have to stop the long exposure. On the other hand, when I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna look at the files and see if the quality of the photos is good enough for me. I know that in good light and in normal scenarios, the Micro Four Thirds sensor can produce quite nice photos. Well, let's check this one out, how it turned out. Oh, wow. Actually, it's quite nice, so I think I'm gonna show it to you. So the OM1, and with this 12-100 f4 Pro lens, is really a joy to use. Everything on this camera and lens is quality, and I think the only camera brand who is kind of providing any kind of information on whether sailing is Olympus So this camera has, and the lens with it has IP53 weather resistance, which is quite good. I still don't know if I'm gonna stay with it. I like what I'm doing, so I like the handling, I like the computational features in this camera, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna be completely happy with the images. Obviously, if we look at the images on a screen or on a mobile phone, we're not gonna see too much of a difference between micro four third photo from a micro four third camera or from a full frame camera. But because I'm doing other types of photography, sometimes low light, maybe the full frame gives me a little bit of edge over the micro four thirds. So I'm still gonna use it and take it with me on photo shoots, but I'm not sure about it. It's definitely a really, really nice professional tool, not just for photos, also for videos. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'm gonna be back soon, and I'm gonna let you know what my decision was about the micro four third system. See you soon, and may the light be with you all.